This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
The Morning Drive. I saw this. I wasn't exactly surprised, but yet it's been a little bit since he was playing. But there's word on the street, Jamie, that Rob Gronkowski is going to come out of retirement and play again. He looked like a guy that had kind of grown into his TV role to a degree, and his celebrity, but apparently he wants to return to the National Football League as a player. And look, he's not the first to do this. He won 3 with New England, the Super Bowls, and then came back and won in 2020 with Tampa Bay, and then retired a second time. Okay, remember, he retired once, came back, and then retired, and then in 2022, he's still young. He's actually the same age or younger than Travis Kelce. I mean, they're right there. It's about the same age. Mm-hmm. And he's been out of the league for a couple of years, so maybe he's decided, hey, my body's still good. I can still do this. And
he was such a big and physical guy previously. Mm-hmm. It kind of feels like he has thinned down a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously he'll hit the gym harder if he decided to come back. I still don't think it'll happen, but you never know. You never know.
You don't think he'll come back?
I don't. But
yeah, he's 35.
He's also often injured. So
yeah. And apparently, he would like to go back with the Denver Broncos. He worked for a brief time with Sean Payton when Payton's he'd left the Saints, and he took a year off, and he sometimes coaches when they go and become broadcasters, they're like, oh man, that's a perfect fit. Sean Payton looked like a guy that was taking a hiatus from coaching and found himself in a booth, and he looked like a coach that was a guy that was coaching waiting for somebody in the broadcast booth. That just to me, he looked like a guy who's like, I'm not long in the tooth for this, as opposed to a guy like Bill Cowher, who when he stepped down from the Steelers, I think a lot of people thought, all right, this guy will be at CBS for a couple of years and then, get his breath underneath him. He had lost his wife to cancer and just, had some challenges there personally. And I think a lot of people thought, okay, when Bill Cowher catches his breath, he's going to go back into coaching, but never did. Never did. And he was a relatively young man when he walked away. And
had done a good job. So
yeah, right.
Like a lot of teams would be after him.
Right. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens with Rob Gronkowski. But that's a little bit of a surprise. There's also this, and I'm curious about this. What the real story is with Utah and their firing of their coach Craig Smith. Fran Fraschilla, who's an ESPN analyst, and obviously he was in town on Monday for the Tech Houston game. He says this has little to do with Craig Smith's coaching. This is one of those few times that nobody in his right mind would take this job without saying, show me the NIL money. Coaching the team has much less to do with success today than ever before. And he suggests that the financial backing played a significant role in this program's success and ultimately the firing of Craig Smith. But I don't know that. I mean, Utah.
So, what is he suggesting?
He said I don't. Maybe he's suggesting that. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know what exactly he's suggesting, but he's suggesting that Craig Smith's not a bad coach. Okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And he's suggesting that they didn't support the program with money. for NIL, Utah's program.
Okay.
And so maybe he's suggesting that maybe the money people didn't like Craig Smith. Maybe they wanted him out. But then I read an article yesterday about Utah basketball, and basically the columnist, it was an opinion deal. It was like, at what point in time does Mark Harlan, he's the athletic director at Utah, at what point in time does he have to take responsibility for these coaches? Because they cited Larry Krystowiak, who they had to pay like $7 million to go away, and now Craig Smith, they're going to have to pay him $4 million plus to go away. And he was supposed to fix the problem, and they'd hired him from Utah State. And it didn't work out.
And it's not like they were a complete train wreck.
Right, no.
So the big money donors weren't donating, and they didn't like him, and so they got him fired.
I don't know. I don't know if that's what Fran Fraschilla is suggesting or not, but it kind of seems that way, doesn't it?
That doesn't make any sense. We're not donating enough money, but we want him fired, so we're going to ask that he be fired.
So now,
was it a promise that we would donate money if they fired him?
I don't know.
And why now?
And why now? I mean, right. He was at Utah. He was 65 and 62.
Not great, no question. But but if they're not supporting the program financially, then they have no chance to win.
So then they gotta make a change. And they long for the times when Rick Majerus was there at Utah and they were winning all these games. And I forget what the name of the arena has been. That's the one place I haven't been, is Utah, in terms of the Big 12. So I have no idea how raucous or non-raucous or what what the potential for raucousness could be. I got to tell you, last night was impressive. The townies of Tucson, they showed out last night. They probably had, I didn't see a final number.
I think they showed 6,600 on the television broadcast.
Yeah, 69-11 is what they're showing on the score sheet, and there was all of that there. There was all of that there. I mean, they had, and that was, it was primarily people my age or slightly younger, maybe your age to my age.
It's kind of the women's basketball crowd.
Yeah, but they were enthusiastic. I mean, they had, in between the third and fourth quarter, they had their little cell phones out with the light show and everything like you see at the men's games. And so they were all wearing white, support their team, senior night and all that. So maybe the sun just reinvigorates the old people there in Tucson.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
This morning on the Morning Drive, today is Wednesday, February the 26th, 2025. With this day in sports history, here is Jeff McGuire.
See if my coughing attack can stop before we have to do this. Jeez. 1915, excuse me. 1935. New York Yankees release Babe Ruth. He then signs with the Boston Braves.
What were you thinking there?
He was 35.
He's old.
He's old.
Gave him a ultimatum about his weight.
Too many hot dogs.
He said something about he wanted to grow a beard.
Yeah.
1967.
And he said he liked that Caroline song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we got rid of him.
Okay.
In the 9th Daytona 500, Mario Andretti wins his first and only NASCAR Grand National event. He is the only time a driver is born outside of the U.S. that has ever won the Great American Race.
And, of course, he would go on to win an Indy 500, too.
Yes. 1989, Black Day for Dallas Cowboy fans. A lot of them stopped being Cowboy fans today. As today is the day that Tom Landry is fired after a 29-year career with the franchise.
Well, do you feel that way? Did you feel that way?
No, I wasn't a Cowboy fan in 89. I wasn't a Cowboy fan until the Oilers moved.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't anti-Cowboy, but... 1995, Jason Sasser and Mark Davis have 21 points each, and Texas Tech beats Rice 73-63 for a share of their first Southwest Conference title in a decade.
Very nice.
And in 2012, in the 61st NBA All-Star Game, The West beats the East 152-149. Kevin Durant from the Oklahoma City Thunder is your MVP. It is National Pistachio Day.
I'm completely out. You probably like the pistachio.
They're okay. They're not one of my favorites, but they're okay.
I just figured because it was a nut that you...
They're the one nut that I don't like other stuff on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely different.
Yeah,
like chocolate-covered peanuts are great. Peanuts and candy bars are great. Almonds, etc., etc. If I'm eating pistachios, I just want a pistachio.
But that's really all you do with pistachios, right?
And make ice cream.
Okay, yeah.
I hated scooping the pistachio ice cream at the 31 flavors.
Happy birthday to Michael Bolton, who's 72. Marshall Falk, 52. And J.T. Snow is 57. And gentlemen, you have a choice today. Do you want to hear about a big hole, a waffle iron, or a telegram?
Big hole.
Big hole?
Okay, we'll go with a big hole.
On this day in 1919, the Grand Canyon is designated a national park.
Awesome.
Because we are not stupid. And we look at that and go, wow, this is gorgeous and beautiful and needs to be preserved so that more people can walk up to this and go, holy cow, this is gorgeous and it is beautiful.
I like what you did there when you said it's gorge. Yes.
Yeah. I will repeatedly steal this line from the West Wing because it is so true. The Grand Canyon is one of the few things in life that never disappoints.
I will tell you, though, the time that I went, I was in awe. I was in awe. I mean, it was you just jaw-dropping awe. Now, I like that kind of thing. It's a big deal to me. So maybe for some people, it's not that big of a deal. And the outdoors and, God's beauty and what he has made of our natural surroundings, to me, is at times just spectacular. That was one where I was just like, wow, just stood and stared in silence.
Do you still have a goal of hiking the rim? And
I would love to. Yeah, it's finding the right person to want to do it with me. Yeah.
Like if I really kind of went after it and got in shape. No. You don't want to spend any more time with me than what you got from 6 to 9.
I enjoy our 3 hours together.
I question that sometimes.
I don't think that would be.
Chuck, I love you like a brother. You know this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You would talk too much.
I mean, that's just really what it is.
You could be in the greatest shape of your life ever.
The reason I hike is it's not to
talk,
to have a talk show.
You're right. I mean, we would have a talk show.
No, we wouldn't. I would leave you. I would leave you.
Okay.
Now, I'll also say this. The one negative thing about the Grand Canyon, it is so fantastically cool and it's on the way there that you could take a left and go to Meteor Crater. And I feel if it weren't for the Grand Canyon, Meteor Crater would get some of the bonus of the tourism because it's a very similar type thing, except this one was an asteroid.
I didn't even know it existed.
It's like you take a left to get to Meteor Crater and a right to get to the Grand Canyon at one point. And
you're going to choose.
You're going to go to the Grand Canyon
you're take
9
right
times out
every
of 9.
time.
Right? But Meteor Crater, I haven't been to Meteor Crater because I've been to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And that's this day of sports history.
Thank you, Jeff. Viva 73 says Jamie Paladuro Canyon is the second largest canyon in the United States.
I know.
Okay. And
Love it.
You've hiked that.
Paladuro and Caprock. I actually enjoy hiking in Caprock Canyon more than I do Paladuro. Just different kind of trails, but I love them both. They're awesome.
I know you have this plan when you go to Provo to hike the Y, right? Mm-hmm. So yesterday when I was in Tucson, I saw a big A on the side of the mountain there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It looked a little higher than the Y.
Okay.
But, I don't know, it looks doable.
Okay.
But, I mean...
Was there a path to it?
I don't know. It was off in the distance, but you could see a big A on the...
Is there a security fence around the area of the A so you can't get to it?
Is there one with the Y?
No, because they want you to walk up to the Y.
Yeah.
I don't know that they want you to walk up to the A.
My guess, I was probably thinking there'd probably be some rattlesnakes up there in that area.
That part of the country?
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet so.
Yeah.
I'm also going to tell you there's probably some lizards out there too.
But the A looked further up the mountain than the Y in Provo. Just my uneducated eyeball look at it, especially from a distance, because sometimes those things like I can do that, and then you get up there and go, whoa, I can't do that. I mean, I'd like to think that I could hike the Y, but I'm not sure I could. First you got to have the desire to do that. But I think it'd be cool to go up there and do it, especially if you do it. Like if you do it, then I feel like, but then I may go, I'm just gonna bask in Jamie's glory of hiking the Y, because I don't know that
Well, Chris Level's already done it, so we can all bask in his glory.
Yeah, I know, but you're going to do it too, though, aren't you?
Yeah. But, I mean, well, we can live through Chris Level, can't we?
Sure, absolutely.
He lives a good life, so why not?
He does live a good life.
And he did it like in the cold.
In the winter, right?
Yeah, I'm going to do it in the nice part. So Level had a tougher challenge than I did.
Yeah, I would think so. Mm-hmm. I would think so. That when do you go to Provo? Do you have that in your head?
It's May or something.
Oh, okay. That should be really, really nice to be able to do that.
I'm just worried about Illinois and Las Vegas right now, Chuck. One game at a time.
I know the answer to this question. I don't even know why I'm asking it.
I will not step into a casino this weekend. There is no question.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, the airport's a casino, so I don't know that
that's totally fair. That's totally fair. And hopefully our hotel is not attached to one, but I have no idea.
My guess is how could it not be?
I think we're off the strip, if I've been told correctly.
Okay.
So maybe not.
Will you go to the Spear?
Don't plan on going to the Sphere.
Spear or Sphere? Sphere.
We're not poking it with a stick. It's a globe.
Yeah. You can't miss it.
I saw it the last time. Yeah.
Did you go like up close and personal?
No.
Take a selfie in front of it? Like
I don't take selfies.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you got to have somebody go with you to take a picture of you at the Y, like not the YMCA.
I'll take a selfie at the Y.
Yeah, you got to do that. You got to do that. 6:54 this morning here on the morning drive. This Y is different than the Y for BYU, unrelated, except for the letter Y. All right. Why are we here? I'm sure you're asking yourself that.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Morning Drive. Good morning with Jamie Lent, Jeff McGuire, and Chuck Heinz. Bullfighter asks, which Jamie is calling the games this weekend? Well, the winning Jamie is calling the games this weekend.
I'm 1-5 on the season. I mean, right now.
I know we're going to replace the imposter Jamie with the real Jamie.
Let's see here. Gus has missed one game. Mm-hmm. Gus missed the only game that we won. So Gus is 0-4. Yep. Hax is 0-2. I'm 1-5, and this is really going to make me nauseous. Joyce Woodman is 1-0.
Oh boy! Wow.
So for the broadcasters, right now, Woodman's on top. Maybe Coach Tadlock should suggest it just be a one-man show with Woodman. Maybe
lend Choice over to us and put him make a three-man booth with me, him, and Fink, and maybe his good charm would rub off on the Lady Raiders and our 9-game losing streak.
Choice's good charm. We got jokes today.
We do. We can find room for him.
Let's give Choice a little bit of credit on his charm factor. His wife is a lovely person. She would not put up with all of his shenanigans if he didn't have some charm. Mm-hmm. I have too much respect for her to say that he doesn't have any charm.
Yeah,
it's not my type of charm, but he's clearly got something.
I think I would have a tendency to agree with this comment from the Yates Flooring Center chat line with regard to Darion Williams and what Coach McCasland has said since the Houston game or after the Houston game. My guess is if this wasn't a first-time thing, Coach wouldn't have called him out.
Yeah, that text came after somebody said D5 has played several games hurt, so really seems out of character. And I agree with the second texter that said if this was a first-time thing, Coach probably wouldn't have said anything.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to send a message to Darian Williams.
It's just, hey, we see what you're doing here. So, and they need him. I mean, they need him. They could have used.
Yeah, it was a huge game.
Yeah, they could have used an 8%.
I mean, even if you can't win the Big 12 Conference Championship in the regular season, for seeding purposes,
Absolutely.
for the NCAA tournament, all that, that would have been a massive feather in the resume cap.
No doubt. All right, so this latest bracketology from Joe Lunardi came out yesterday morning at 8 a.m. Okay, today is the 26th, so that was yesterday, the 25th. The overall seed, number one overall seed is Auburn. First team out is North Carolina. Don't really have any issues with that. He lists amongst the first four out North Carolina, Indiana, SMU, and Xavier. The next four, Boise State, Georgia, George Mason, and Villanova. Georgia won last night over Florida, by the way, and took down the number 3 team in the country. So what does he say about Texas Tech? Because that's what we're all interested in. He has the Red Raiders as a 3 seed, Jamie.
Okay,
and has them in the East, but playing in Denver, okay?
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I know.
Denver's close to the East.
I know. It's the East. It's the East Regional, which the finals will be played in Newark. But you have these, they used to call them sub-regionals, whatever. I mean, these are the first and second round matchups now, right?
Yep.
So Denver. And so he has Tech playing Utah Valley, okay? And then the winner of Texas and St. Mary's would play in the second round. That's what he has.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Better than Ole Miss, but still.
So Ole Miss is not in your region. Do you expect to see that matchup in a bracket for the Red Raiders? And where would you see that? In second round, or would it have to get to, the Sweet 16 to Elite 8 round?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I wonder a little bit, does the national landscape, do they have an idea as much about the Texas Tech versus Chris Beard hatred as we have here? And does that seem like a big deal or not to the national folks?
Yeah, my thought would be placing Tech with Texas or A&M would be
that would be bigger.
The bigger
yes.
thought,
the more well known.
Yeah, than
rival,
Ole Miss.
Not with Chris Beard.
Yeah, that's just what I would think. Ole Miss right now is according to Joe Lunardi, is in the Milwaukee region. They have them as a 7 seed, and VCU as a 10 seed, and then the winner would play Iowa State, Norfolk State. Iowa State, he has them as a 2 seed, but after their loss last night, they're not going to be a 2 seed if the bracket came out today.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
The question would be would Texas Tech be a 3 seed if the bracket came out today? It seems a little high, Jamie.
I would if I was a betting man, I would bet on 3.
You would bet on 3.
Yeah,
okay.
Not 2.
Okay. He has 8 Big 12 teams making it. Do you think 8 make it?
I would see that.
Lunardi also has Houston as a 2 seed, which I'm for keeping Houston down, no question about it. But I got to be honest, if Texas Tech were Houston and you had just the one loss in the Big 12, man, I'd be kicking and screaming, going, "What in the world are you thinking?" Mm-hmm. Because I think that Houston deserves a 1 seed based on the fact that they've lost 1 game.
Sure.
And it was in overtime.
1 game in conference play.
Right.
Yeah.
1 game in conference play. So that's just kind of how I see that. But it certainly is that exciting time where you have movement and chance to move. And man, it would be just so awesome if you could get yourself into such a situation where the Big 12 tournament was meaningless.
Well, we don't want that though. We want it to be fun.
I know we want it to be fun.
I totally get your point. Yes, you're absolutely right. But what would you have to do to get there?
I think you'd have to win your last 3 for sure.
And how? Don't you think if you won your last 3 and then you, let's say, made the finals of the Big 12 tournament, and you'd give yourself a chance to get to a 2 seed?
You might.
Okay, so then I don't think winning the last 3 would make it meaningless.
Yeah, no, you're probably. I just wonder how. And I'm guessing that they'll have back channels and back channels and back channels and back channels to see what the realistic thought is of being able to make that kind of a move, because you got to determine how much energy you want to expend on that. But these guys have full tanks. They're Division I athletes. They're in really good shape.
But it's a long season, and there's a long season. To it. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because I heard some discussion on this. I can't remember where, but I heard some discussion on this. Would you like the NCAA to keep updating who they view as the top 16 teams, like they did, a couple weeks ago or a week or so ago?
I would look at it if they put it out there. I'm not upset that they don't.
Okay. It wouldn't be like. I kind of feel like that would be much more compelling than the college football poll that we get every week.
Okay, now I got to check to see if Chuck has had a body snatcher.
Why would that be more compelling than the football version? Because you're more of a basketball fan than you are a football fan?
I don't know.
There's way more football fans.
Maybe it'd be equally compelling. How about that?
The top 12 make the college football playoff, in theory.
Yeah.
The top 16...
Out of 64.
Out of 64.
Or 68.
Yeah. They're going to make the tournament.
Yeah.
Chuck, we got to check that coffee now.
I may not be completely thinking clearly this morning, but
got to check that coffee now.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, we're going to talk Red Raider basketball here today.
Okay.
We're going to talk Big 12 tournament.
Okay.
I want you to take the top 6 teams and throw them out.
Okay.
They cannot be answered. Houston, Arizona, Texas Tech, Iowa State, BYU, and the Kansas Jayhawks.
They're in the top 6 still, okay? That's shocking.
Okay, which team... So you know the Red Raiders are going to play somebody in that 3rd round after they get through with their double bye, right?
Right.
Which team of the remaining 10 is the team you're saying to yourself, whatever happens in the Big 12 tournament, I hope we don't face off with them? For whatever reason, because you think they match up well with us, because they give us a hard time, because you don't like their colors. I don't care. Whatever. Because you don't want their coach stomping on the sideline. Whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Color would be the K-State, that purple. And then stomping on the sideline, that'd be TCU. Baylor, because I just don't like Baylor and Scott Drew. Utah's got an interim now, Josh Eilert. He was at West Virginia, and he's a K-State guy, so he's no good. I really have no problem with the Cincinnati people or the Oklahoma State people, but I'm doubling down on this team because I've told you I think they're a good team. They don't necessarily always show it because they're 5-11 and 14-13, but I don't want to see UCF in the Big 12. In terms of the first round that the Red Raiders would play in, I don't want to see them. I think they're long. I think they're athletic. I think they're capable, but they only have 5 skins on the wall.
Okay, UCF.
I've got 2 answers for you. I know you only asked for one, but I can't figure out which one of these 2 would worry me more in this situation. I don't want to face Baylor in the Big 12 tournament. And some of that's respect for Scott Drew and what he can do there. And in that type of situation, that's I don't want to say a coin flip game when you're talking about coaching and rosters and everything else, but that would bring more stress than I would want in a Big 12 tournament after having the double bye. My other answer for this, it sounds crazy with me thinking it, but I don't want to face Colorado. I don't want to face a team that's getting hot in the Big 12 tournament and playing their mind out and in the survive and advance style of basketball trying to make the NCAA tournament. I don't want that. I don't want them to be the good story that we're having to beat. I want to be the good story, and Colorado would absolutely be the good story if they made it that far.
Colorado gets that far, Chuck. Would they be playing with house money?
It would be.
Even though if they lost, their season's over, they would be playing with house money.
They would. They would be playing with house money. I mean, I said last night. I think I said to Coach Gurley, because we were going to the bus. Yesterday,
they just lost a game. Is it really a good time for you to be talking
before the game?
Oh, okay.
Before the game, I said, I feel like we get one of these that we're going to be a team that people don't want to face in the Big 12. And she agreed with me completely. I said to myself when I went to bed, what night was it? Because yesterday was Tuesday, right? Monday night. I said to myself, I was said a little prayer like, just help me stay in my lane tomorrow. And God did not help me. Okay. I guess the devil got a hold of me yesterday, because there were times when I was swerved all over the place.
You swerved a little bit?
I swerved all over. I was swerved all over the place.
Jamie?
Okay. I have an answer. Okay. I liked your Baylor answer. Okay. There are two teams that I think are the most talented in that group that's remaining. Mm-hmm. It's Baylor and it's Kansas State.
Okay.
If I look at the teams that I think are big-time underachievers this year, Kansas State is in the mix. Baylor is definitely in there too. But Kansas State is in the mix. I think they're a talented group. We've seen them with some big wins, and they got hot for a little bit there. And so their talent scares me a little bit. So my number one answer would be Kansas State. Baylor would be number two for me.
Okay. You're not buying any of my UCF chatter, are you?
I don't think they'll make it far enough to get to the Red Raiders.
Okay. And I realize that if Tech played them, you'd have extra motivation since they handed you a loss to start the Big 12 portion of the season. But they won the other night. They won Sunday against Utah, and I guess that sealed the deal for Craig Smith there in Orlando at
maybe
that place. I think their arena, UCF's, is the second worst in the Big 12. Because Colorado's is a dump, man. It is an absolute dump. It's a big pile of nothing. If you're a townie living in Boulder, man, they got to be playing really, really good for you to go to that thing.
Probably.
That'd be my guess. And they finish. UCF finishes with K-State, TCU, Oklahoma State, and West Virginia. They could get on a roll. Jamie, they could definitely win out. That would be a 5-game win streak, and that would, I think, put a little scare into the people that they might have to face in the Big 12 tournament. Mm-hmm. If you're thinking about that, K-State just feels like that every time you feel like that they're maybe rolling a little bit, then they
peaked and they're coming back down the mountain.
Yeah, right.
Stumbling head over heels.
They went to the Y in Provo as opposed to going to the A in Tucson. The A in Tucson is much higher up on the side of the mountain. Mm-hmm. So they gave up. Mm-hmm. I said, "Oh, screw this, man. We can't do this." 7:40 this morning here on the morning drive. What?
No.
Oh, goodness. It is the morning drive here. Somebody says, "Oh, Chuck." Well, there's probably a lot of moments where you can say, "Oh, Chuck," today, right?
your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Texas Tech basketball, they'll take on Kansas on Saturday. Of course, the Red Raiders lost on Monday night to Houston without Chance McMillan and Darion Williams. And after the game, Coach...
Let me.
You want to set it up for us?
I'm going to give you the question that he was asked, and I'm going to play his entire answer. It's at the very end of the press conference, and he's asked how you focus on the bigger picture of the NCAA tournament and getting ready for Big 12 tournament and all that after a game like this, and this was his reply.
I just don't make any decisions as to who plays. And every situation is so unique, you know. It really is. It's like every player, say Christian Anderson, for example, he twisted his ankle in the first half and he was limping in the locker room, but he still went and played the second half, you know. And I mean, he didn't shoot it well, but he goes 0 for 6 from 3, but he's out there running around chasing LJ Cryer all over the place and not letting him score. And I just love the fight in that. And so everybody has their own version of what they can go through in order to continue to play. And I just don't have any conversations with anybody about that. I trust Mike and I trust our guys. And sometimes you understand it and it's clear in regards to what the best thing for them, and sometimes it's not clear. You know, it's like a really hard decision to decide what to do in these scenarios. And I'll just say, I knew Chance wasn't going to play. I felt like it was going to be hard for him to play based off of the experience of the last couple of days. I did not know that about D5 yesterday, or I would have honestly said that. I had no clue. And that happened today, and so I just trust our staff and trust our guys to make decisions as we think is best for them in this moment. But I will say it's not easy. So
that is really cryptic.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I'm going to take him at face value for what he said there in terms of that he had no idea that Darion Williams was going to play, and I'll take him for what he said, that he doesn't have those conversations. I have a really hard time believing that. But if he said he didn't know that he was going to play, there's a part of me that almost says maybe he didn't want to know, so if he was asked, he didn't have to state it. But that seems very strange too.
It does.
Just the fact that he pause, so because at the very start he's like,
I know, I thought the pause was really important.
Yeah,
and then he immediately came back immediately after the long pause with, I knew Chance wasn't going to be able to play, and that he didn't say both guys.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And you know how he was limping around and had, you know,
there are other quotes where Coach McCasland goes on and on about those 6 guys that were on the court. I'm super proud of them. Those 6 guys. Mm-hmm. You know, he didn't say this team. Mm-hmm. He said those 6 guys, and he said it 2 or 3 different times, which made you think that he wasn't happy with some on the team. And again, I think everybody's giving Chance McMillan the benefit of the doubt because he was wearing a boot.
Right.
Okay. We had a texter yesterday morning, I don't know if you noticed it or not, Chuck, that said he thought Darion Williams looked like he was having way too much fun.
I saw that.
Not being in the game.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't necessarily, you can be injured and be supportive of your teammates and have a good time, all that. I didn't necessarily feel that way. I didn't, connect the dots there, but I don't know. I don't know how you don't hear those comments that we just heard from Coach McCasland and think, not that he thinks Darion's a terrible teammate or that he's a bad kid, he doesn't wish he was on the team. I'm not suggesting any of that. Mm-hmm. It's just that he was frustrated about that situation on Monday night. Yeah. And he questioned it.
Yeah, and then I think, just kind of I want to be What does he say? Play just the very start of that again so that we can want to hear just the start of that again here in just a second. 8:20 this morning here on the Morning Drive. This is Texas Tech men's basketball coach Grant McCasland after the ball game. You got it?
I have pulled it off of YouTube. I need to get it reviewed.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. At any rate, it was just I want to think about how I want to say this. That's kind of, and then the pause.
He was really thinking through his words.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to make a point, but he also didn't want to insult his player, create any kind of chemistry issue with him and the player. But at the same time, he was wanting to use the media to send a message, in my opinion.
And then trying to be careful. You got it?
Man, I'm going to try to think about how to thoughtfully answer this.
How thoughtfully to answer this.
I just don't make any decisions as to who plays.
6-second pause in there.
Yeah, I don't make any decision as to who plays.
He doesn't mean through the course of the game. He means whether a guy is healthy enough not to play.
And I understand that.
That's what he meant.
It leaves that up to the doctors and the training staff. And,
yes.
And things.
And the player himself.
And the player himself, because the player himself's going to know his body the best.
If the trainer had come to him and said, I don't think he should play. He's too banged up. It's still swelling. But he could hurt it worse. Mm-hmm. Grant McCasland wouldn't have said anything like what he said.
Correct. Yeah. Or would just say,
or he would have specifically said
he was unavailable.
Mike came to me and said, "Yeah, it's just too bad. He can't play."
Yeah, it would be better for us to rest him for the long term. Something along those lines. Or he would say he was unavailable.
To me, this is no different than. I just think over the course of sports, we hear coaches use the media, right, to send messages or whatever.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that Coach McCasland thinks enough of Darian Williams that he's trying to coach him up, right? Mm-hmm. Not just in this is how you run the offense and this is how you shoot a basketball and this is how you play defense, but like expectations of a professional. Mm-hmm. You know? And so in my opinion, he was trying to make a point. He wanted Darian to hear it. And, at the same time, he wants to motivate him, whatever it takes, right? Mm-hmm. And I would guess, as we said earlier in the show, if this was the first time that this has come into question, probably wouldn't have heard those comments.
Yeah, probably just heard of something along the lines of, he was unavailable, or we're trying to get ready for the tournament and make sure our guys are healthy going into the Big 12 and then finishing up the regular year. Man, that was a massive game to only be able to play 6 players. And I understand the fact that you got some guys there at the end of the bench that you just, in that type of situation, that type of game, let's just face it, their skill level is not good enough to play. Yeah, benches get
tighter at the end of the year in big games.
Absolutely.
Coach McCasland clearly didn't have the trust in them to put them in those situations.
Yeah, and that's no surprise because and you need. And somebody had asked early on the chat line why you need those guys. Well, you need those guys for practice. You need those guys to be on scout teams and be able to help run your other team's offense or your offense against them. They have a significant role. Sometimes you just don't see that, and you don't necessarily see that on game day. But they have a big role on the team in terms of helping.
And you played 6. If 2 guys foul out, you need one of them to go in to be your 5th.
Yeah, right.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.